All right, welcome to our RPG project. I'm going to kind of walk you through just the kind of file structure here because it is pretty overwhelming to begin with. And I want to walk you through some habits that you really have to develop really well to do well at this project and to not lose your mind. So we're going to get started. I'm going to do the script thing. I won't do all of it, but I will kind of get started with it. There should be instructions. Let me see if I can pull those up without losing everything here. So we're working on this part, the matching scripts. We're going to write this matching class. And so what I want to show you is not necessarily how to do it, but how to get started with it. And then really the important thing here is how do we use our unit tests to figure out, like, how do we use this, how do we debug this, and make the most of our unit tests, because the unit tests are going to be the only way you get through this. In my experience of having done this, I'm going to try and make the instructions really clear and clarify them as much as I can. But there's going to be no substitute for really doing the unit test. So anyways, without further ado, let's get into that. So we're going to do the matching one down here. And I'd say for the most part, like, we're not going to mess with this code. You will have to add some things to the variables in here, but like if there's existing methods, don't mess with the existing methods. So we're going to look for matches, and this is the first thing that we have to do. Okay, so in this case, this is existing within a script object. We're getting another script in, and basically want to see, is this thing that I'm getting in equal to the thing that I currently have. So let me just show you, I'll show you the basic version of this, because there are some caveats in there. Whenever we get a script object in, it's going to have an x value, a y value, an argument value, and then an action value. Although actually action is third and then argument is fourth. So what we want to do, we want to check to see if they're matching. So we want to see if all four of those things are the same. However, if we decide we don't always want to compare all four of these things against each other, like maybe we don't care about the x and y and we just care about the action for the particular script, we can designate that we don't care about the x and y by sending in a -1 value. So, or -1 for the x or for the y, and it just won't, then in that case you won't compare those two. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I want to show you. So let me just program the real basic version real fast. Well, I'll walk through programming this. You can skip ahead if you want to, if you feel like you kind of already know what I'm talking about here. So I would just do a really easy version would be like, okay, if x is equal to other.get x and y is equal to other.get y, and let's see, I need to go to other.get. Its action is the first thing, is the first kind of, well, if I just pop this open for a quick second. Again, skip forward if you got this. Like, these are the four things that are in our script. So we already compared the x and the y from our current script to the incoming script. We checked if the x and y are right. And now we want to make sure that the action and the argument are the same. So we're going to say we want to see if the other's action, so we're going to get the action from the other one, equals the action that's stored within this class. Because we can see that there is an action, we should have an action variable. Let's see, up here, we have an action variable. All right, so if those two are the same, and then we can say other.get, what was it, argument, is equals, argument equals, and then, this is really like getting in the way. Again, skip forward if you want to. So if all these things are true, then we should return true. Otherwise, we'll return false. Okay, so I have my script. This one's, maybe it's going to work. I have my method done for this this first one. What you're going to be doing, so I've written my code. I think it's going to work. Your kind of workflow for this is you're going to pop over to tests. This has a bunch of tests already built into it, and we're going to find the matching test. Well, in this case, the matching test is actually called matching, and we'll run that. So we can just run it, and we'll check and see kind of, was I successful or not. I personally, if I want to look at the test, I'm going to click on this button to find that test, because it's going to tell me in here where I had an error. So it looks like I did a lot of things right. So it's kind of setting some stuff up. I did a lot of things right because I didn't produce any errors here. But I did produce an error here. And we can click on that error and it'll say assertion failed, and then it'll give you a little message. An x of -1 should match any x. And that's where, if I'm getting in a script where the x value is -1, I shouldn't bother to compare that, because I just don't really, the -1 is like it's signifying that I don't need to test that. Okay, so that's one thing. So we're just testing, and we'll have to go through that again and again. As you get deeper and deeper into this project, it might not seem like you need this right away, but something that can be really helpful. Let's see if I can open it. Let me open up my test again real fast. Where did it produce an error here? What I'm going to do here is I'm going to set a little breakpoint. We did this earlier on in the semester when we were working with our last project. This is going to be super, super helpful. So we're going to hit a breakpoint here. This is going to be so, so, so useful. Actually, you know what? I'm even going to put a breakpoint up here so I can walk through it. Maybe even, sorry, I'm trying to think through where is the best spot for this? Yeah, I'm going to do it right here as we go through these tests. Probably in the future, if I was doing this just for my own sake, I might put a breakpoint here because I want to see what's going on exactly at this moment. But let's just I'm going to set a breakpoint up here, and then I want to rerun my test in debugging mode. So I'm going to click this. All right, so it's going to run the code like normal, and then it's going to stop here. And we're going to be on this line of code. We can check our local variables. We can see, like, you see how we have all these things up here? Those are all going to match to variables up here. So we can go to fixed location and figure out that, oh, that location is, or that action is A, the argument is B, the X is 2, the Y is 3, all that stuff. Different objects. We can look through all of this stuff within our variables here. And we can see kind of what the values, because we might think that we've set everything up correctly, but this is going to tell us, like, what are the actual values getting stored there right now? Is it what we think it should be, or should it be something different? And again, like, as we go more and more with this project, you're going to be using this so much. So if it's uncomfortable, that's okay. That's part of the process here. Let's see here. I want to go. I think this is going to run one line. So I'm going to skip on to the next action, and this is going to run fixed location dot matches. I want to show you one other thing. Fixed location is a script object, and then matches is a method. What I could actually do, if I just hit next, it's just going to go on to the next line. But I might actually want to see what is going on in this particular method. I want to dive into this method. And that's where we hit this one, step into. And we're going to step into the actual matches method that's happening here. And we can really check and see, like here, look, the other value that we're getting in, this is its A, B, 2, 3. And this is the value for the object. I think it's matching against itself, so it makes sense that they have all these same values. But then we can actually, so we went from our test, we called the instance of that matches, and we dove in to see what was actually happening inside of this method. And we can go through again here, line by line, and figure out what is going to happen. It returns true, and then it'll pop back to the test. So we're diving into the method and then coming back out from it. And this is an incredibly useful tool that we can use. Let's see. So in this case, we're comparing something against itself. I'll do one more like this, and then we'll go down to our error and figure out why we're getting an error. So fixed location matches different object. This should return, well, let's see, where's fixed object? Fixed location had 2, 3, A, B. Different objects had 2, 3, A, B. So it should be a different, so they should match because they all have the same values. Even though the two different script variables, they both have the same contents. So let's see, where are we at in our lines here? So go on to the next line, and then we're going to dive into here. And now we can see, even though they have different locations, they're actually different objects, but their contents are the same. So this should return true. Let's get down to one more here. This is going to be assert false. So it's saying that we're trying to match fixed location with different arguments. So you might get this in your code, like this fixed location and different args should not be the same because they have both their x's are the same, their y's are the same, their actions are the same, but their arguments are different. So let's look, we're going to dive into this method, and then we can see in here, A, 2, 3, A, B, 2, 3. So we can see that their arguments are not the same. So if we walk through this, it's going to return false, and we'll pop back out to here. Just again, this kind of walk through, this step over, step into is super useful. So let's kind of keep walking down here. I forget which one is going to give us an error. Oh, there, we got an error on that one. Yeah. So let's do, okay, last one. And again, I hope that you skip through this if you are, I think this is really useful, but I hope that if you get the idea, you're welcome to kind of skip. I'm going to do one last one in here. Where do we find that error at? Let me run this and figure out where the error is actually at. Okay, so this is the error, because this is probably how you will use this. We'll set this as a breakpoint, and then we're going to run this in debug mode. We're going to go into here. We have a debug mode up here, so we'll skip that one. I'm going to skip down to the next. Okay, so here. So it says an x of -1 should match to any x. So we're comparing fixed location versus any x. So fixed location, any x. fixed location, and oh, any x here. So the x value is -1, the y is 3, and then a, b. So these two things should match because they both have 3 for their y's, their actions are the same, their arguments are the same, and this -1 is indicating that we shouldn't compare the x. So if we look at our test case, so they should match. What we can do is look here, go into our fixed, go into this method again, and we can see the way this is being compared, where the action is AB, -1, 3. And we kind of, so this can be really useful. This one might be a little bit obvious because hopefully I've explained it well enough about why these two things should be marked as the same. But later on, you'll get into parts where you're less sure about kind of what's going on underneath the hood of your computer, and the debugging can be so helpful for that. Yeah, and so setting breakpoints, using step over, stepping in. We can also hit step out if you're done. You've kind of figured out what this method is doing. We can step out and it'll go back to our previous, to whatever called the method. So useful. I hope you got something out of this, and I hope you use debugging.